Hello, and welcome back to another brand new movie review where it's actually a sort of TV movie that I'm going to be reviewing. As you can tell by the title, what I'm reviewing is called An Adventure in Space and Time. And, well, what is an adventure in space and time? Well, this was released over nearly 10 years ago now, Jesus Christ, during the Doctor Who 50th anniversary, showing how the show came about. You know, showing the early growing pains of the show to where it ended up. And it is absolutely amazing. I watched it again recently back in August of last year. I know it's actually been quite a while since almost a year since I last watched it. Um, when I done it because I was going to make mention of it in my An Unearthly Child review that I done last November for the show's 59th anniversary. And um, yeah, I just decided, since I'm doing a lot of Doctor Who this year for the 60th, that I will also include this. So basically, what, as I said, an adventure in space and time is about is the formation of Doctor Who. It starts with Verity Lambert, the first producer for the show, uh, joining the BBC at the request of Sidney Newman, who is the head of, I believe, is the head of BBC in drama at the time. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Again, it's been a while since I've seen it. And he wanted to create this educational show for children. All about this time traveler who goes back, and they're all historical episodes. For the children to give them that bit extra education. So yeah, that's what Doctor Who was originally going to be about. It was an educational show, and Sidney Newman's one main rule when it came to Doctor Who is no bug-eyed monsters. And this show nearly got cancelled over that within the first couple of episodes, or on the second story, which is Dalek. Yes, if it wasn't for the Daleks, we wouldn't have this show 60 years on. Um, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. So Sidney Newman comes on. She not Sidney Newman. Verity Lambert comes on. She meets up with Warren, I believe his name is, the first director, and he was also an Indian director. The At that time, they weren't women, and back in the 60s, women's and people of color weren't really that well respected in the film and TV world. And so this was pretty big at the time. The first female producer and the first Indian director worked on the show. And they shot the pilot episode. They got all the characters in, and in this, David Bradley plays William Hartland, the first Doctor. And so they shoot An Unearthly Child, the pilot episode, and they showed it to Sydney, and he hated it. He absolutely hated it. He hated the little, see, in the original pilot, Susan, after Ian and Barbara left the classroom, she opened up a book and started dabbing paint in a menacing way, setting up something for that. That got cut. They had to tone back the way the Doctor acted originally, and just some minor changes, but compared to the original pilot versus what originally aired it back in 1963. And you can actually watch both versions if you own the Doctor Who An Unearthly Child on DVD. It's not out on Blu-ray yet. I don't know if we ever will get season 1 on Blu-ray. I mean, we got season 2, so fingers crossed, basically. But yeah, so it covers a bit of that. It also covers them trying to convince William Hartland to take on the role. Like, he's originally against doing a long TV show because he'd only just come off of doing one, and he didn't want to put all of his a lot of time and effort into it just for him to then be let go. And so when that unfortunately did happen, 3 years into his run, so it then covers um Carolyn Ann Ford's departure, Susan Foreman. That it doesn't touch on all the other companions joining and departing. How they set up the years, from 1963 to 64 to 65 and to 66 is they'll have the main cast, the Doctor and the companions taking a photo outside of the BBC studios, and that's how it sets up. So we get to see, I believe it's Vicky and someone else. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't seen any Vicky stories, and what have you, except for the ending of the Celestial Toymaker, and then it jumps again into 65, and then it again into 66 with Ben and Polly, which is when things start to not be the greatest. But it also shows with Bill, but it also at one point shows that whilst he's out with his wife, that fans come up to him and ask about the Daleks, which brings me back to how the Daleks saved Doctor Who, because when the first episode aired, it aired the day after Kennedy's assassination, and so not a lot of people watched it. And so just before episode 2 aired, they done something that they didn't really do much at the time. They re-aired the first episode, and then went forward, and it done pretty well until we get to Dalek, the very first Dalek story. And on the very first episode of that 7-part serial, it got 10 million viewers back in 1963. And that's what saved the show, because, as I said, the one thing Cindy Newman says that he didn't originally want is no bug-eyed monsters. And so, obviously, throughout the rest of the show, from 63 to, I think, 64, there's some sprinkle of sci-fi stuff, but a lot more historicals in there, like Marco Polo and the Aztecs and all of that, and the one with the Reign of Terror, which is about the French Revolution. And so then that brings me back to where I was talking about, where Bill Hartnell and his wife is out, and school children come up to him, and they all do this. They all like play pretend with him, being the Doctor and going up against the Daleks. And then that's what brings the Daleks back for a second appearance for the Dalek invasion of Earth, 2150, 53, I believe. Someone correct me in the comments. I have it on this bookcase somewhere. I just haven't it pulled out. So yeah, like I said, it goes through that. It even shows some scenes that they filmed in that. And then it goes on to show, Verity Lambert's departure from the show, as well as Warren, the director for a lot of it. He departs the show as well. And it's really just Bill being sad that all the people he was working with originally move on eventually, and he doesn't want to do that because of the children. He absolutely loves the fact that the children love him as the Doctor, and they love the show that he's doing. And so that when he starts to deteriorate because of a disease that he has, where he's not really good at remembering his lines, he's stumbling a lot more. He goes to talk to Cindy Newman, and he wants to just cut back on the techno talk, and just have him make it up as he goes along, or just some of the stuff be like a stern look or what have you. And in the end, they just decide they want the show to continue on, just not with William Hartnell, and that's where we get regeneration or renewal, I believe is what it was known back then, back in the early 60s. And so we meet, it then cuts back to the very beginning because it's the TV special starts off with the ending in 1966, and then jumps back to do all the other stuff over the course of the special, and it ends, with his regeneration. But because it was the 50th anniversary, they snuck something in that didn't actually happen, and I still don't know how I feel about it 10 years later. Like, it's a nice scene, but I still don't like it. Like, they basically green screened in Matt Smith, obviously, whilst he was filming for either Series 7 or for the 50th or for his last episode back then. And it was just David Bradley's version of William Hartnell looking up and seeing him, both of them putting their hands on the TARDIS. And it's kind of a symbolic way to show that despite William Hartnell leaving, the show has continued on this way, and it's been it was very popular at the time of the 50th anniversary. Obviously now it's kind of dipped a bit, and now it's on the rise with interest. With the 60th anniversary being this year, David Tennant coming back, Catherine Tate is coming back as well, and then of course with the future with Ncuti Gatwa and his new companion, whose name slips me, but I know the companion name of Ruby Sunday, and I'm looking forward to what we get, with the 60th anniversary and onwards. So it's a very nice special. I absolutely love and adore. I love and adore. I wish it was out on Blu-ray though, because to my knowledge, it's only ever existed on DVD, and like it's a nice DVD. Like it has a reversible slip. Let me just actually go grab it. Okay, I have it here. So let me just pull it out. So that was the original, artwork that they had on it, which is, nice artwork, but I kind of prefer the reversible art, which, I'm now trying to put it back in to the case, because it's this is paying homage to one of the Doctor Who annuals that was released. Some of the Doctor Who annuals that released, because, we see a Dalek there, we see that thing from, it's either I think it's the Web of Fear. Ian, I'm sure he'll be watching this over at Ian Hill Ramblings. He can correct me in the comments below. And then, of course, we see a Mondasian Cyberman there. So, yeah. And then, of course, here's the back. And then the actual DVD art is an old film reel, which I think is very nice. And, of course, it comes with this little booklet. We see the David Bradley on there, but then we see Bill Hartnell there with the Daleks, and then if you have a look here, we see some set photos from not so much set photos, but screenshots from the actual film itself. And the runtime of this is approximately 83 minutes long, so about an hour and 23 minutes, give or take. So yeah, absolutely love An Adventure in Space and Time. Every time I watch it, it's not something I watch yearly. It's another one of those movies that I categorize as I'll watch it every couple of years. So that has been my review for An Adventure in Space and Time. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all very soon for another upload. I'm not entirely sure what's coming next. It has been planned out, but I'm recording this way too much in advance. Like it's the 7th of February, which is when I'm recording this. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.